Hey everyone, thanks for being here. We continue on in the 2025 lineup series with Ducati. One of the biggest changes for this year is that for the most part, Ducati is doing away with the V2 955cc L-twin engine and replacing it with the 890cc 90-degree V2, which has much less power and costs less. A couple bikes that had the 937 L-twin have also been replaced with the 890. I'll let you know which models that applies to as we go. Let's get started. Starting with the Scramblers, we have one new model and several that have been discontinued. Let's see what we have. 803cc L-twin with 73 horsepower on these, 31.3 inch seat height, 3.8 gallon tank. The Icon Dark goes for $10,000. This is up $800 from last year. The Icon, Night Shift, and Full Throttle go for $12,400, all up a little from last year as well. A new model, the Rizoma Scrambler, is a 10th anniversary model limited to 500 units. Price is $15,000. And the 1100 Sport Pro is a 1079cc L-twin with 86 horsepower, 31.9 inch seat height, and a 4-gallon tank. This goes for $17,200, same price as last year. No sign on the website of the Hypermotard Desert Sled Tribute Pro or Dark Pro models that were in last year's lineup. The Hypermotard is next with two different engine options. Last year they came out with the 698 mono. This has a 659cc engine with 77 horsepower, 35.6 inch default seat height with options that can take it down to 33.4. 3-gallon tank. The base model goes for $13,200, up $200 from last year. The Mono RVE goes for $14,900, up $400 from last year. The Hypermotard 950 still has the 937cc L-twin engine with 114 horsepower and a 3.8 gallon tank. The 950 base has a 34.2 inch seat height and goes for $16,000. This is up $700 from last year. The 950 SP has a higher seat height of 35 inches and goes for $19,800, up $800 from last year. Moving on to the Multistrada, we have a bunch of models. A couple are defined as model year 25. 3 different engine options on these. The V2 and V2S have the 890cc 90-degree V-twin with 115 horsepower, 32.7 to 33.5 inch adjustable seat height, and a 5-gallon tank. The V2 is new for this year and goes for $16,000. The V2S has been remodeled from last year. Last year it had a 937cc L-twin. This year it has the 890cc 90-degree engine, has a little more power and a different look to it. Price is $19,300, same as last year. The rest of the Multistrada bikes have a V4 engine. All except the top-level V4 RS have an 1158cc 4-cylinder with 170 horsepower. The V4 and V4S have a 5.8 gallon tank and a 33.1 to 33.9 inch adjustable seat height. The base V4 is new for this year and goes for $20,000. The V4S is the same as last year at $27,200. The V4S Grand Tour is also the same as last year at $28,400. The V4 Rally has a 34.3 to 35 inch seat height and a 7.9 gallon tank and goes for $30,600. The V4 Pikes Peak has been redesigned a little bit. Website doesn't have full specs yet, but I'm guessing it has the same 33.1 to 33.9 inch seat height as the base model and 5.8 gallon tank. Price is now $33,000, up $1,000 from last year. Last is the Multistrada V4 RS. This was new last year. This has an 1103cc 4-cylinder racing engine with 180 horsepower. Same seat height and tank size as the others. This goes for $38,000, same price as last year. The DesertX bikes come next and have a 937cc L-twin with 110 horsepower and a 5.5 gallon tank. Appears to be no change in the base model, still at $18,000 for white and $18,500 for the RR22 color. 34.4 inch seat height with options from 33.3 to 35 inches. The DesertX Discovery is new since last year's update. Same specs as the base model, has some additional upgrades for $20,000. And last is the DesertX Rally. Seat height is up to 35.8 inches. This has some extra off-road features. This goes for $23,400, up $400 from last year. The Monster Street bikes have a 937cc 90-degree V-twin with 111 horsepower, 3.7 gallon tank, and a default seat height of 32.3 inches with options from 30.5 to 33.1. The Monster Plus goes for $13,200, up $200 from last year. The Monster SP goes for $16,000, up $300 from last year. This has some sport upgrades on it. The 30th anniversary edition goes for $18,600. This came out late 2023, I believe, since I think the first Monster came out in 1993. And new for 2025 is the Monster Senna, a limited edition model commemorating Ayrton Senna, one of the greatest Ducati racers ever. This goes for $25,000. 341 of these are available. The Streetfighters have some changes as well. The V2 and V2S have the 890cc engine now with 120 horsepower, 33-inch seat height, and a 4-gallon tank. The V2 price is down to $15,000 with a smaller engine, and the V2S, which is new this year, goes for the price of the V2 from last year at $18,000. The V4 and V4S have the 1103cc V4 racing engine with 205 horsepower, 32.5-inch seat height, and a 4.2-gallon tank. These have some improvements from last year: less weight, a lower seat height, etc. The V4 goes for $23,400, up $1,300 from last year, and the V4S goes for $29,300, up $1,700 from last year. The V4 SP2 hasn't changed from what I can see, still has 208 horsepower and goes for $38,000. Brand new for this year is a limited edition numbered model, the V4 Supreme. This goes for $50,000. No change on the Lamborghini collaboration model, that goes for $68,000. No changes in the Diavel at this point that I can see. The Diavel V4 has an 1158cc engine with 168 horsepower, 31.1-inch seat height, and a 5.3-gallon tank. Price is $27,200, up $200 from last year. The Diavel for Bentley still goes for $70,000. The Supersport 950 and 950S haven't been updated at this point. 110 horsepower on the 937cc L-twin, 31.9-inch seat height, and a 4.2-gallon tank. These still go for $15,500 and $18,000. The Panigale sport bikes are next, with several models available. We start with the V2 and V2S. These have been changed significantly from last year. Instead of the 955cc L-twin with 155 horsepower, these have the 890cc 90-degree V-twin with 120 horsepower. 33-inch seat height and 4-gallon tank on both of these. The V2 price has been dropped from $18,600 last year down to $16,000, and the V2S, which is new for this year, goes for $19,000. There's no more V2 Bayless that I can find. Instead, we have a V2 Super Quadro Final Edition. As I understand it, this is a limited edition bike commemorating the 955cc L-twin Super Quadro engine with 155 horsepower, the engine on the previous versions of the V2. 32.9-inch seat height and 4.5-gallon tank. This goes for $28,000 for the commemorative edition of that 955 engine. The V4 and V4S have a 209 horsepower 1103cc V4 engine, 33.5-inch seat height, and 4.5-gallon tank. $26,000 for the V4, up $1,000 from last year. The V4S goes for $33,900, up $1,700 from last year. There are a handful of racing replica bikes from the 2023 racing year, both V2 and V4, ranging from $43,000 to $73,000. No changes on these from last year that I can see. Also, the V4 SP2 30th anniversary bike is still listed here for $46,000. The V4R is the same as last year as well, 998cc, 207 horsepower engine for $46,000. With a special racing exhaust and oil, you can crank this up to 240 horsepower, but at that point it is no longer street legal. It can only be used on the track with that exhaust. Last and new for this year is a collector's edition of the Panigale V4 Tricolor with the colors of the Italian flag. Lots of carbon fiber on this. Price is $58,000 for the Tricolor. So there you have it, folks. All the Ducati bikes that I could find, ranging from $10,000 to $73,000. I'm curious what you think of all the changes, especially getting rid of the 955 engine and some of the 937L twins and going with the 890cc V2. Is this a good move, do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and catch you on the next one.